Good afternoon. Welcome in. Miller and Condon on the air with you on a Tuesday as we talk the world of sports, taking you up until 2 o'clock here this afternoon. Ken, no, he's not retiring early. Well, he is for me, but he's out for a couple of days. Going to take a couple of days off here, using up that PTO. So hanging out with me for the next couple of days. You've heard his voice here before. You hear him on Locked On Cyclones. He is Nick Marovets with us here today. Nick, good to see you once again, and good to see you in person. We've done it plenty of times on video streams and crossover podcast episodes. You Locked On Cyclones, me Locked On Hawkeyes, but today you made your way to the capital city. What's happening?
That's what I was just going to say. Is it's crazy to actually be in person, meet you, and see what the studio is all about. It's super nice. So I feel like it's going to elevate our sports talk level for today.
I hope so. I certainly hope that's the case. Coming up here today, we got a lot going on, obviously, in the world of sports, NBA, NHL playoffs. We'll talk about that. Timberwolves get it done in game number 1. Coming up here on the guest list at 12:25, we're going to talk about the Timberwolves. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of different things in Minnesota, the Twins. Not a whole lot to talk about there with the latest injury. And the main beat for Dane Izutani is the Minnesota Vikings coming off the draft, potentially looking for a new GM. Lots going on. And of course, the Wild, his old beat, as they look to bounce back after the 9-6 loss in game 1 against Colorado. That's coming up here at 12:25. In the 1 o'clock hour, we'll talk more NBA playoffs. Sloan Piva's going to join us. We'll also talk a little gambling with Sloan. He likes to get involved in that space. Sloan's going to come up here, and we'll talk about some of the gambling thoughts that he has at 1:25. At the end of the show, each and every day, I give you my picks of the day presented by CIrca Sports, and that will be at about 1:50 this afternoon. Coming off a winning deck, that is been a bit of a rarity here as of late. We jump aboard with a 3-2 night last night, and we put 0.3 units into the account. So sometimes you just got to take it. Got to stack it up from time to time.
Positive spots?
No doubt about it. So, Nick, last night, we talked before, and we'll get to know you a little bit more here later in this hour. Got a couple of questions I'm going to fire at you. It has become the offseason for both of us on the college beat, and I know for our listeners out there, spring football's over, basketball season's over, recruiting ramps up, and there's things to talk about. But this is the time where, certainly in this market, the college sports are starting to dry up. So we get back involved with a lot of the NBA, NHL. I don't watch during the regular season really either of those sports a whole lot, but I dive back into it. The NBA playoffs after the first opening round, and then, of course, the play-in round, and the first couple of days, really just have not been very many good games. Finally got to see one last night. And it's also the team that I root for. I'm a Timberwolves fan. So that makes it a little different, a little bit easier. How about you? For somebody, and you're also younger than me, and because of that, I know that really changes sometimes perspectives, sports you like, kind of things like that. When it gets to this time, are you a big NBA guy? Are you a hockey guy? Anything like that? And did the playoffs change it at all?
Yeah, I mean, I watch more now when it's the playoffs than I do during the regular season. I would say I'm a pretty fair weather fan for NBA. Anything that's is good basketball, I'll watch. I like the NHL probably more, just in comparison. But I think, playoff anything is going to be electric, right? And so I've always got sports.
No doubt. Yes. Yeah. Always got to have that going on. So Timberwolves last night. I want to start with this. I'm flip on the TV, get the kids to bed. And that's something that is different than what you're dealing with right now. You get the kids to bed. And it really puts a big hole into the middle of the sports viewing. And we try to get upstairs by 8:15, 8:30, something like that. And then go for story time, all the different things. And then finally, by 9:15 usually, I'm back in front of the television. So then I always have that weird decision. Do I want to hit pause and pick up the game that I was watching? Do I just look at my phone, see what the score is, jump in there? Now, if it's Iowa State playing like a basketball game during the wintertime, like a random Tuesday night, one of them are playing, just pause, don't look at the phone, jump back in. That's the way that I do it. But for something like this, it is a little bit different of having that in there. But I get there, I flip on NBC, and the next game's still going on. And this is a 30-point blowout. Like, are they delaying? What is going on here? Because I hadn't looked at, we don't look at TV guides anymore, and hadn't looked. I just anticipated that it was going to be the Knicks Sixers game, and then it was going to go into the Timberwolves Spurs game last night.
Yeah.
That was not the case. It was on Peacock, which was incredibly annoying because old man yelling at cloud here. Got smart TVs all over the house. That's fine. But it's just how cumbersome it is. Go to the Peacock app. Then you jump over for me, DirecTV. I want to flip back and forth between that and hockey game. And I also had a wager on the Ducks last night, so that was another reason. But I know it's 20 seconds, but it's just, I like to hit the back button just doing that. So how old am I sounding to you right now, Nick?
No, hey, 20 seconds is a long, long time, especially when you're flipping between games and you've got money on one, especially. So I totally get that. And for me, the biggest thing is finding which platform has the game. It shouldn't be impossible for me to figure out. It's like with movies now, especially. You can't just go to the DVD rack and find, oh, here's Transformers. I'm going to throw that in the player. No, you got to figure out, oh, well, last month it was on this platform. Now it's over here, but you have to pay for this one. It's the same thing with this. I totally get where you're coming from, and you'd think that there'd be some rhyme or reason to it in some regard, but it seems like there never is, and it's a total battle just to watch the teams duke it out.
Time and time again. So were you involved last night in the Timberwolves game? Were you watching late?
I actually was not last night specifically, but of course I had to watch it back this morning, and what an ending.
Oh, man. Anthony Edwards after the game, maybe my favorite moment of the post game was him saying that he basically sucked. And that's what you get with Anthony Edwards. I mean, that guy is transparent. There's no guessing what exactly is his thought process and the way that he's thinking about things. He is absolutely that way every single time. He is going to get his thoughts out there, and that turnover late, a couple of bad decisions, wondering a couple of times, opportunity to get him the ball, and they didn't. What was going on? I understand he's coming off a knee injury, and his over-under in the game was 17.5 points, which felt incredibly low, and he just got over that as he finished with 18, maybe a 16.5. He finished with 17. Regardless, he got it by a half point because I had that in the same game parlay last night. Right. That's the only reason that I know that. But, with Anthony Edwards, you see, doesn't have the same look. And he talked about that also after the game, is he's going to have to play the game differently because for years and years and years now, it's almost every single time he goes out there, he's just going to out-athletic. He is quicker. He is stronger. He is a higher jumper. He is all the things almost every single guy that is guarding him is probably not going to be able to do that this series. He's probably not going to be able to do that if this playoff continues. Coming off that knee injury, didn't have the same kind of lift yet. In the fourth quarter, they absolutely were able to take control. And then he got the Wemby back, who makes the headlines. 12 block shots. But in the fourth quarter, he only had one in the fourth quarter. He had 10, I know, in the third quarter at some point. Yeah. The Timberwolves did something great. And the reason that Pitch is one of the best coaches out there, it's something incredibly small. But, all right, it's basketball. You watch a lot of basketball. All it is anymore is just setting screens, right? Yep. Ball screen, boom. Ball screen. And what they did, and what they changed defensively, is instead of hitting hard on the ball handler, going after that, they said, no, we're not going to let you roll anywhere. We're not going to allow that to happen. And that gave Wemby then an opportunity to not get back and block every shot like he had. Suddenly, he was just getting pulled by that ball screener, and they're just blocking away. The ball screen wasn't actually for the person with the ball. Right. It is that small little thing that is so nuanced, so incredible, but it worked out incredibly well, taking what he was doing defensively on that end and not negating him because he's still there and he's still making impacts. And the other component, he doesn't make a three-pointer. And we saw it last series against Joker in Denver. Guys in the post, they're just sick of going up against Gobert. You can rip the guy all you want. He is an awful, awful offensive player. And I think he missed his first 4 free throws last night before they finally got one to roll in. But that's what you get, that defensive component where guys as talented as Wemby and Joker, two of the most talented guys in the league, and certainly most talented big guys, they don't want to battle in the post against Rudy Gobert because he was just that good. Yeah, both Rudy Gobert and Jaden McDaniels, I thought, played really well defensively. I think Anthony Edwards coming back was huge for the Timberwolves in this series. I don't know, if they win this game without him, or if they lose that game where the series momentum goes. So I do think him coming back was huge, but you could tell he wasn't completely at full throttle. Did end up -2 on the night, and you were right, 18 points, 3 and 3 rebounds, assists. I thought personally, if I were to give the game ball to anybody, it would probably be Rudy Gobert because of the defensive effort to stop the Spurs. I think this was more of a defensive game, and credit to the defensive side of the ball than the offense. And to your point about the adjustments in the game, that's just a coaching matter. I mean, that's just putting your guys in a spot to succeed. And I like Minnesota's odds if they can keep that up. We'll see what Anthony Edwards can offer the rest of the way, but so far so good. One thing that has been milling around in my mind as soon as it went final last night, and the T-Wolves almost blowing it, and I'm freaking out, yelling at my TV, is you stole what you went for, right? Get a split. Go up a Go down to San Antonio, get a split at minimum. You feel at least okay about your chances. Well, he took game one. And with that knee injury, not knowing the severity, not knowing physically, if some extra rest would do Anthony Edwards well, you don't punt game two. Because
you throw it in?
You say, we're going to go out there. We're going to try it again. We're going to go a lot more with Terrence Shannon, who was incredible for long stretches. Again, he is so fast with the ball. Mm-hmm. We're going to go that direction. We're going to get a little bit more rest for it. We'll get blown out, so be it. But we got the split, and we'll go to Minnesota tied up at 1-1. Again, not knowing the physicals, that part of it. Does that make sense? Or if he's good enough to play in game one, he's just good enough to go now going forward?
I actually don't necessarily hate that take. As soon as you started that, I was like, no, we got to go up 2-0 and see if we can come home. And then you know how rowdy Minnesota is going to be. The odds of a sweep, you never know. But as you started walking through that, I don't necessarily hate it. Give him a chance to get closer back to that full Anthony Edwards that we're used to, that game changer, and honestly, momentum swinger. I don't know if you go into this game, you're right, you don't punt it. But I think you could, as a coach, come in and say, all right, we are going to put maybe a heavier minute limiter, right? Because you played 25 here in this first game. Maybe you set it down to, can you go to 10, and just play a couple minutes here and there, keep them warm, keep them in the feel of the game, but it's not necessarily going to win or lose you the game, and you're okay with either outcome. And then you're coming back home is kind of my thought process too. So if you lose this one, you're not completely throwing away momentum going on the road. You get to come back home and have that crowd at your back. Maybe we do need to throw you in as head coach.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe it makes sense. We'll see on that front. That's coming up game two right around the corner Wednesday night. They'll be back at it tomorrow evening. Spurs a 9.5-point favorite in that one. Knicks Sixers, what can you say? It's another one of these NBA blowouts. They're unwatchable. When it gets to that level, they become unwatchable. Well,
and to your point earlier, I watch a lot of the NBA. That's the problem. Yeah. It has gotten ridiculous. Tanking is out of hand. Yeah. I don't have the stats in front of me, but the lower, whatever it is below the mark versus the upper teams is ridiculous. And yeah, you assume the playoffs are going to be better, but I don't need to go on off a whole tangent here. It's just, you made me think of it. And it's unwatchable. You're exactly right.
It is tough, no doubt about it. And that was another one. Just, all right, well, I got to find the hockey. The hockey last night, I mentioned I got a Ducks wager, so that didn't come home. The environment, though, was really, really good once again in Vegas. That's a fun series, but obviously the one of local interest coming up game two tonight. You ever seen a 9-6 game in a playoff matchup? Because I certainly can't remember one.
It's been a long time in my memory.
Sunday night, and I flip it on. It was right after, I think, the Wild had cut it to 3-1. They get a tie. They eventually take the lead. And it just kept coming there. The question remains what you do, and we'll talk a little bit more with Dane M about this, is it time for a change in goal? Make the decision after Wallstedt really struggled in this one. And it wasn't giving up the 9 goals. Sometimes, not the 9 part, but you just see, guys make plays. It's going to happen. There were some iffy ones that probably shouldn't have been goals, and that's the part of it, because they got another guy. And Gustafson's had successes in the past, certainly, so that will be a component. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But here in segment number 1, I do want to talk a little bit about your main beat, and of course that's the Cyclones, with Locked On Cyclones, your daily Iowa State Cyclone podcast. I have the Hawkeye side. So the news from yesterday that comes out, we had Bill Seals on the show yesterday talking a little bit about it. It's so crazy to me because I look at it from the media perspective, and then you get the fan perspective from time to time. Gene Jackson leaves the program. And there are some fans out there that are trying to blame Bill Seals because he quoted what was said by the coach.
By Jimmy Rogers.
I don't get it from a fan perspective. And maybe that's the part that I'm so far removed from just being a fan. I've been doing this now for 25 years. I'm getting old. And because of that, I'm still a fan. Anybody that's listened to my show throughout the years certainly knows that I still wear my fandom. I'm not going to sway away from that. I'm not going to say that I'm a neutral arbiter of all things. That's not what I am. I still am a fan, but I also do still have that part. What am I missing? Am I missing anything here, or is this just fans being fanatical?
So you brought up earlier, like, this is the time of year where things get kind of boring. This came out of nowhere. I did not see this coming.
The content we needed.
I know. I was like, may the 4th be with you. I'm getting ready for my Star Wars. Bam, running back to the program. I'm like, okay, is this legit? Is this even real? Because I do remember I was at the spring game. And he turned a lot of heads. It was unexpected, and it was exciting. And then the comments from Jimmy Rogers after when he had that media availability caught my attention as well. Certainly not the answer that I was expecting from Jimmy Rogers, but I do think that that's in its own way, which we can get to in its own time, exciting from the head coach. But I was shocked to see the fans saying essentially what you're alluding to. My take on this, and I'm okay. This is my take on Lockout Cyclones. This is maybe a good thing. If this is, I'm not saying that he was kicked out or that he left. I have no idea what happened, but at the end of the day, he's not with the program.
Mm-hmm.
And if that was the direction that we were like, I'm okay with him not being a Cyclone. Which obviously the production and that thins out the running back room. I get it.
Yeah.
But you got to think of the first year of Jimmy Rogers. This is the new era of Cyclone football. I don't know if I want that in the locker room.
You don't want any people that could upset that, right?
Yeah.
You don't want a bad egg. You don't want whatever phrasing that you want to use. And if it's somebody that either A, saw the story from Bill Seals and got that upset about it, is that the kind of guy you want in the locker room that's going to get upset about an article or even a quote from a coach?
Mm-hmm.
Motivating factor? Or there could be something even more at play here where they just didn't think that this was the right fit for their program. One question I don't know the answer to it, and this is something that also bounced into my mind, is now we don't have the spring portal, which is terrible for us in the content business because the spring portal is great, but without it is, what does that mean for Jackson?
See, that was my first thought was, what does this mean for him? And obviously we hope for the best and wish him a long and lucrative career, but I imagine he finishes this semester out as an Iowa State student and then ends up, I don't know, just probably doesn't get to play.
Because we have the ghost transfer rule.
Yes, that was where my thought
was. Yeah. And if you're new to this new phrasing, the ghost transfer rule, it dates back to the Lucas kid who left Wisconsin to go to Miami. Didn't enter the portal. Miami was likely tampering. And you got into that. And so just don't even go to the portal. Don't even worry about that. If you want to leave a school, do it this direction. The NCAA has put the kibosh on that. You can no longer have what is considered a ghost transfer where you don't actually enter the portal. You just show up at another campus. And by the way, oh, yes, you're getting NIL money and you're getting everything else and you're getting rev share and everything that goes along with it. They are trying to combat that and also keep it where there's just one portal window. Because if they didn't have this ghost rule in place, we would see hundreds of kids right now that would be doing just that. Semester finishes up. I'm leaving this university. I'm going to show up here.
Spring ball didn't go the way they wanted.
Yes. And hamperings happening all over the place. This is to combat that. But for a guy like this, for Jaden Jackson now to suddenly not have a home, doesn't have an opportunity. And if it's phrased in a way where he was kicked off the team, is that different as opposed to a guy that left on his own accord? I don't know the answer to that, but I think it is something, because this can't be the only situation in the country, right?
You would think not. It's a very puzzling situation, especially if we're looking into what the 5-5 could look like. Because didn't play last year, now won't, in theory, play this year.
Yes.
So now he's got 3 years if the 5-5 goes through. There's a lot of question marks there. It's the same thing with like, were you fired or let go, or did you leave from a job? Same kind of thing applies here. Does that distinction matter to the NCAA? Is he now like a free agent, or is he still tied to Iowa State? Those are the questions that I have. I would love to see him play just because of how electric he was for Iowa State. Even if he hands out somewhere else, I'd love to see it. But I do think it'll be very telling of what the sports landscape in college football will look like moving forward.
And it's so funny because even going into the open practice at Iowa State, we heard a lot that, I think it was maybe running backs coach or offense coordinator, had mentioned that they were a little bit concerned about the depth at running back, that they just didn't have a very deep room.
Right.
You had Ala that was banged up and didn't go on last Saturday, so you had that component to it. We know Flora coming off an injury himself. Petaway coming his way in. You're excited about the special teams, the return game with Flora and Petaway. That's going to be excellent. You have a feeling with both of those guys, but a running back, and now you take another guy out of that room, and then you go the other direction too. For Iowa State, guys are still in the portal. There are still guys that are there, coupled with guys that are at the D2 level, JUCO, what else is out there. You have to think at minimum, Iowa State's got to be shopping at this point in time and seeing, even if it's a depth piece, even if it's a guy that is probably going to be fifth on the depth chart, whatever it is, we just need bodies. We've seen it happen so many times in the past where at a specific position group, and running back definitely one of them, that injuries start to pile up, and suddenly what are you going to do? I mean, are you going to say, you know what, Dominic Overby, I guess you're going to be a running back for us today? There's not a whole lot that you can do. There's no free agency once the season starts that you can get into. So they got to be minding that and seeing if there's anything else out there.
Yeah, especially when you consider what John Johnson, the running back coach for Iowa State, had said. They're not afraid to go, 3-4 deep. Well, I think Iowa State has, 4, maybe 5? I don't have the list in front of me, but you get my point. We're really kind of stretching it thin here. And so, there is no spring portal where players can enter, but there are players that are available. So I would have to think that, they're, especially with the state of the program and it being so, they just implemented a new program or a new system to basically 90 players.
Right.
They can't do it for one more. I think that's probably smart.
So I'm looking at the roster as it currently is on Cyclones.com. So they got Medaway, Ala, Flora, River Peppers, but he's coming off a pretty significant injury himself. Easton Miller, forgot about him. Ankeny guy, played plenty of his games at Centennial back in the day. So those are the guys that they currently have listed there. But Ala coming off an injury, Peppers off an injury, Flora, question marks remain on that front, but no longer listed. Jackson no longer already on the roster. They changed that pretty quickly.
That was quick. I went to check today to see what were his accolades. Gone. Just gone.
Can't find him. Going back on the other side, we're going to go north of the border up to Minnesota. We got a lot going on up there. We're going to talk about Game 2 of the playoff series tonight with the Wild and the Avalanche. Game 2 coming up tomorrow night with the Timberwolves after stealing Game 1 against the Spurs. Plus some Vikings talk and maybe a Twins question as well. Dane Izutani, he's going to join us coming up here on the other side. Got Nick hanging out with me today. It's Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
The 4-4 Rose, created by nature, perfected by books.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
I've got to share this. Nugenix Total T2 has been a game changer in helping boost total testosterone. My energy is up. I feel leaner, stronger, and more like myself again. Nugenix Total T2 uses a brand new formula fueling performance in and out of the gym. Join the thousands of men who are seeing results. Text LIKE to 215215 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2. LIKE to 215215.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
With iHeart, everything you hear is guaranteed human. That's why 78% of listeners trust their favorite radio host product recommendations. If you manage a business or need to drive sales, that trust goes a long way. Visit iHeartAdvertising.com. Again, that's iHeartAdvertising.com.
In this edition of The Marketer, Chris Epple, head of marketing for the Americas, Harman JBL, weighs in on the importance of audio.
It's been amazing over the last couple of years to see what's happened with audio. We've doubled our investment in the last few years in the audio space. We find it to be highly critical to our business.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia connects marketers to the audiences, live conversations, and trusted influencers you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartAdvertising.com.
Lowe's has the brands pros trust to get the job done. You can now shop new Catalyst fencing solutions and save big when you do. 10% off when you buy in bulk. Plus, save $180 on a DeWalt 12-inch dual bevel sliding compound miter saw. Now just $449. Our best lineup. That was 5-6. Selection varies by location.
Ken and Trent are back in 60 seconds, right here on 106.3 KXNO.
Every morning, we rise and shine, make breakfast, and brush away the night's breath. These routines help us start the day off right. Nature-made vitamins are a simple step in that daily care regimen. Multivitamins with daily essentials, clinically studied probiotics for gut health support, magnesium to help relax the body. Nature-made is made to care for you every day. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Win is a win. Yep, that's me, Clifford Taylor IV. And on my new podcast, The Clifford Show, I'm bringing you raw, unfiltered conversations with your favorite athletes, creators, and media personalities. Each week, we'll talk about sports, life, mental health, purpose, and even music. The Clifford Show is not just a conversation, it's a celebration.
Search The Clifford Show on iHeartRadio, America's #1 podcast network, and the Webby Podcast Company of the Year.
You're listening to Miller and Condon. You can't see it. On 106.3 KXNO and the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Tuesday, it's Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. You hear Prince? We're going north. Nice. Minnesota. One of my great regrets, not seeing Prince in person before his unfortunate passing. And the best artist in Minnesota history, Dane izutani, joins us. Now he has been in Minneapolis for a very long time. He's a Hawaii native, though. Do you agree Prince #1 ahead of Dylan and whatever Minnesota you want to put up there? Is that #1 for you, Dane?
Yeah, I think it probably has to be. I mean, he's a legend, and even as somebody who I can't claim Prince is one of his favorite artists, I appreciate what he did and just kind of what he means to the state. So yeah, I think he's one of them.
Yeah, I got a couple years on you guys. I mean, Prince was a guy. MJ was a guy. I got to see the new movie that's out in the theater. I got work to do making that one happen, though. Some bad ratings over Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
Yeah. Makes me a little bit nervous because you don't get to movies very often if you go for a crappy one. That aside, though, we got a lot to talk about, Dane, so let's get into it. Got Nick Marovets hanging out with me today. Let's jump into first your main beat, and that is the Minnesota Vikings. We'll get into the Wild. We'll talk Wolves, maybe the Twins. We'll see if there's time. But coming off the draft, some head-scratching decisions, perhaps. A lot of people questioning going with Banks instead of looking at the tight end Dinneman that comes in from a lot of people, almost everybody felt like had kind of that projection there. A takeaway, a search for a GM, a lot going on in Minnesota. How are the rumblings inside and outside the organization coming off the draft?
Yeah, I mean, I think externally, people look at the draft and because everybody now can look at mock drafts and create mock drafts on their own and on whatever mock draft simulator you choose to use. Like, people look at the haul, the Vikings walked away from the 2026 NFL draft and say, like, wow, they reached a lot. But my counterpoint would be, one, we don't know anything about these guys, and anybody who claims to is just reading other guys who claim to know as well. There's like 2 draft analysts in on the planet, and I trust. And so I think that kind of gets into why people might be frustrated with this class. What I will say is Caleb Banks is somebody they're super high on, and they didn't think he would get to 49. So if they felt like this is a guy that can fill a need on the defensive line, a need they've had, it feels like since I've been a teenager. Like, this is, they felt comfortable doing it at that price or at that cost of draft capital. And that logic kind of applies to each pick they made. People look at the Jake Golday pick and they might say, well, I wanted Emmanuel McNeil-Warren out of the safety out of Toledo. And the truth is nobody knew who Emmanuel McNeil-Warren or Jake Golday was 3 months ago. But because of these mock draft simulators, it just shows like this is the guy I want. And people get really attached to it, and it's a good thing because it makes the NFL draft fun to cover, fun to follow. But I think I would just say give this draft class a chance. Pump the brakes. We can't declare bust on all these guys. My biggest now area of interest or intrigue is where do they go with the GM search? Rob Brzezinski wants the job. I think he'd be a fantastic hire. I think he brings the leadership skills required to excel in that position. But the Wolves have made it clear they're going to do a really broad search. I don't expect it to be done anytime in the near future, maybe next week, maybe the week after. But they're casting a wide net, and as they should for the general manager position.
Yeah, as far as a guy in this draft class that I'm particularly fond of and excited to watch play goes, Dom Orange going at round 382 is what I've got him at. What kind of play are you expecting from Dom? Obviously, watching him play at Iowa State, he was one very good run stopper, super fun to watch. But for all the Cyclone fans out there are looking to see him play, what kind of role do you expect him to take on? What kind of minutes do you think he'll get? Or is he going to be one of those guys that'll take a few years to essentially come up and play meaningful minutes?
Yeah, Big Citrus. I forgot.
Yeah.
The Iowa State connection down there. He's going to play. He's going to play. He's a traditional nose tackle, middle of the line, run stuffer that the Vikings just haven't, frankly, had. And you look at Caleb Banks and you say, oh, doesn't he play nose? He's more of kind of a wide end. And to understand that, like, the Vikings play a 3-4. So Dom Orange is going to play in the middle of the three up front, and Caleb Banks and this other guy, Jalen Redmond, who came on strong last year, are probably going to flank, the true nose tackle that is Big Citrus. And I think he's playing right away. I think it was kind of a way to hedge their bets with some medical question marks, attached to Caleb Banks, but they're different players. And I think what Dominic Orange is going to bring is that size, that ability to instantly impact the run game, to stuff the run. And then people do think, or the people I've talked to within the organization, that there is some pass rush upside with him. So he has something you can't teach, which is just the sheer mass in the middle of the defensive line. But he has some instincts that could allow him to get after the passer too. So it was a heavy investment from the Vikings in their defensive line. And it's something that I think is imperative for success in the Brian Flores defense. So Dom Orange, like a lot of these guys that the Vikings drafted, older, ready to contribute right away. I don't think he's going to require a lot of seasoning. I would be surprised if he's not playing pretty big minutes right away for the Vikings.
You mentioned, Dane, the search for the GM. How long do you think that this whole process is going to go?
Yeah, I think just a couple more weeks, probably. Like, I don't think it's imminent because I think they're casting a wide net. I think the Wilfs were telling the truth when they said they want to get through the 2026 NFL draft before they start that search in any way, shape, or form. So it was full steam ahead with the 2026 NFL draft with Rob Brzezinski leading the charge. And now that is about a week and a half removed, they're in the process of interviewing. The thing is, they're not telling who they're bringing in. You've seen it kind of a new age with social media. You see with coaching, you see with top 30 visits. A team will tweet out, we've hosted so-and-so on a visit, or we have interviewed so-and-so. The Wilfs are committed to keeping all of that kind of under lock and key. So, people I've talked to, you can start to glean some candidates, but they will not be public names for a while. But that doesn't mean the process is not ongoing. So I think we're in the middle of it now. I don't think we're near the end of it, but I think the next week, maybe the week after, is probably a realistic timeline.
Makes a whole lot of sense. Dane Izutani joining us, St. Paul Pioneer Press. Dane, one more on the Vikings front, and that is coming up here, end of the month, we'll get to OTAs into June. Then we get the mandatory minicamp June 9th through 11th. Kyler Murray, have you already found a ton of different angles? How much are you going to write coming up this spring and into the summer about the new quarterback for the Vikings, and how many different angles can you take on this one? Because he's going to take this job, right?
Yeah, I would be surprised if Kyler Murray is not the starter week one. I think the Vikings will handle the narratives of the conversations around the quarterback position like they have They won't name a guy. They'll treat it like a true competition. But I think we all know Kyler Murray did not come here to be a backup. So unless he just gets off in OTAs and training camp, that guy's going to start. So I'm excited about it. Like, he's a former number 1 overall pick. He has talent. He has a ceiling that I think raises the Vikings ceiling as a whole. So he's going to be a fun guy to write about. And I think we've talked about this before on the show. People are skeptical of him because he hasn't reached that ceiling. He hasn't actualized that potential in his body. But I think that we've kind of got it twisted now where people just think he's a bad quarterback, and he's not. And I think it will take a little bit of time, maybe through training camp, maybe through the preseason. When week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 roll around, Kyler Murray is throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and whoever is that number 3 receiver, TJ Hawkinson, working in that backfield with Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, and Mon Claiborne. We're going to remember how good of a player Kyler Murray is. So I'm excited to cover kind of the rise of him here. I'm also excited to fast forward to September so we can remember just how good of a player the Vikings got at a fraction of that.
Let's go over next to another one of the Minnesota teams. Let's go to the Wolves. Taking game 1 last night, we see Ant. It looked like Ant for quite a while. Definitely in the fourth quarter, he started to ignite a little bit. He was frustrated after the game about his play in the final couple minutes of that one overall, but they got a steal. Stole game 1, at minimum, a split going into it. Takeaway and Rudy Gobert, he was playing D once again last night.
Yeah, the biggest takeaway I walked away from watching that game last night is the Wolves should not be underdogs in this series. They are battle-tested. They are experienced. They're everything that the San Antonio Spurs are not in terms of just been there, done that, understand how to win in the playoffs. And our beat writer at the same point, Ryan Press, I thought he made a really, really astute observation, really good comparison yesterday. Think back a few years, 4 or 5 years, to the Timberwolves Grizzlies series, when the Timberwolves were just blowing 20-point leads in the fourth quarter and looked like chickens without their heads for most of the play down the stretch. That was a young team that did not know how to win the playoffs. That's what the San Antonio Spurs looked like to me yesterday. A young team that doesn't quite understand how to win the playoffs yet. Doesn't quite understand that, yeah, the refs are going to swallow the whistles and they're going to allow very, very physical play on the defensive end. Everybody outside of Victor Wembanyama, and even him to a degree yesterday, with just jacking threes, settling, not being much of a factor offensively. Game looked too big for them sometimes. Doesn't mean that they're not going to come out and win game 2 and make this a series. But I walked away from yesterday thinking, like, this is a 50-50 series. This is not the plus 1,100 series that it was a week and a half ago when people didn't think Ant was going to play. It's not even the plus 450 series that it was yesterday where the Wolves are our vast underdogs to win. I think right now this is as even as it gets. I would put my money on the more experienced team to kind of walk away with this one.
I agree. I actually like Minnesota in this series, especially after what I saw last night. That defensive effort was exactly what they needed. So my question is really, can they keep this up? I hesitate to say that Wembanyama will have that kind of a game every game for the rest of this series. I assume that they'll make some adjustments. Do you think Minnesota will be able to handle those? What do you expect? Are they going to go 2-0 to start and win or sweep the road, or are they going to end up down in a hole? Like, I know the experience is going to play a large role here, but I hesitate to say that San Antonio is going to roll over.
Yeah, no, I think this will be a series. I would be surprised if they won game 2, frankly. Like, I think we're probably coming back to Minnesota with 1-1, and then you take your chances having still home court advantage. But yeah, I do think the defensive effort that the Wolves put forth will sustain, because that's been their calling card throughout their last 2 playoff runs. Yes, Ant has leveled up. He's ascended. Jaden McDaniels has ascended. There's a lot of role players that are willing to do whatever it takes on that offensive side of the ball. But why the Wolves have been dangerous and why the Wolves have been a Western Conference Finals team over the last 2 years is because of their defense. And then that's been their calling card, and I expect that to continue here. But when you look at Victor Wembanyama, like, is he going to have as tough of an offensive night as he did yesterday? Probably not. But the Wolves wear on you over the course of the series. The way they play defense wears on you. It's like body blows in a fight. Like in a heavyweight fight, everybody loves the knockout. But the body blows are the thing that wear on a guy over the course of a fight, over the course of, if you will, a series. Now, the Wolves are going to wear on Victor Wembanyama. I don't think he's ever been defended like he's about to be defended for the next 6 games if this thing goes 7. And for however many games this thing goes, they're beating them up. They're going to play with him. They're going to be physical. And then you look at the other guys that have to produce outside of Victor Wembanyama, a bunch of young guys who haven't proven they can shoot, haven't proven that they can make you pay from beyond the arc if you're going to double down low. And Victor Wembanyama is going to find you on the outside. So I think it's a good matchup for the Wolves. And I expect them to just continue to be physical with the kid who obviously is very, very special. But I think he has some room to grow. Victor Wembanyama needs to understand like what it's like to play in the playoffs. And I think he's kind of learning trial by fire right now.
Dane, is just crazy to see a tough Minnesota team because there's been so many times in the past, regardless of sport, just didn't always feel like they had that toughness. Like this Timberwolves team, they definitely have that component. Over to hockey. We've seen some physicality, certainly from this Wild team. Your old beat in the Minnesota Wild. 9-6, that's difficult to swallow, so I'll take it the easiest path possible. Is it time to make a change? Wallstead, after the struggles in game 1, time to pull the plug and go with Gustafsson?
Yeah, well, they're going to tonight. John Hines announced at morning state that we'll be going to Gustafsson tonight over here for Wallstead. I like that move. I do. I know it might be polarizing either way. That's just how goaltender decisions are at this point in the playoffs. Here's my thing. Philip Gustafsson yes, he did not have a good close this season. Yes, in some ways he ceded that job to Jesper Wallstead with just how shaky he looked down the stretch. But Philip Gustafsson is not some plucky backup that you're hoping can give you a spark. He was the starting goaltender for the Minnesota Wild for a lion's share of the season. He played more games than Jesper Wallstead. So this is not some inexperienced guy that you're throwing into the fire and saying, hope it works. This is your starting goaltender. This was your number 1 for most of the year. So that's the starting point for me. But when you look at kind of the psychology of making a goaltender change in the NHL playoffs, you're looking at it from kind of twofold. How it's going to affect the guy you're pulling and how it's going to affect the guy you're throwing in there. Jesper Wallstead gave up 8 goals. Were they all his fault? No. Or most of them, was he left hung out to dry? Yes. But you give up 8 goals, the most goals you've ever given up in your NHL career. Like, it's okay to say, hey, we're going to take a breath here. We're going to give you a day, a game here. They said everything correctly after the game. The messaging was good. We still believe in Wally. We're still confident in him. But right now, this feels like a good time to pull that lever of goalie change because there's not a ton of pressure on Philip Gustafsson. The other guy just allowed 8. And you're going into game 2, you'd love to win it. But if Gustafsson gets shelled tonight, you go back to Wallstead for game 3. And you're back home. Maybe Joel Eriksson back in the lineup, and it feels kind of like a hard reset. Now flip that. Say you go at Wallstead tonight, he gets shelled again. Then you have a ton of pressure on Philip Gustafsson in game 3 to go out there and win a must-win game. So I think unless you're like the Tampa Bay Lightning, have Andre Vasilevsky, and there's no question asked, he's going to start every game of the playoff run. If you have 2 goalies and you have to juggle it, to me it made sense to make the decision that they've landed on. Now we'll see if it works out. If Gustafsson gets shelled, everyone will say John Hines has no idea what he's doing. And then they'll go back to Wallstead for game 3, and the discussion will get pretty negative pretty quickly. But I think this decision makes sense for the Wild. We'll see if they're right.
You know, you won me over there, Dane. I was not on your side when you said that you thought that was the right move. I wanted them to go with Wallstead. But you made a lot of really solid points. All of that still being true, what defensive changes can the Wild make? Because I personally think they just put Wallstead in a terrible position. And if they do the same thing again, I don't know if obviously some goals were given up that probably shouldn't have been, but I want to see some defensive changes, I think, more so than a goalie.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. Like, if they would have went to Wallstead, it would have been, look, believe in this guy, and it's on everybody in front of him to play better. But even so, that conversation stands, or that point stands with Gus and that. You cannot let the Colorado Avalanche fly through the neutral zone the way they did. You got to muck up the neutral zone. You have to make it not a rush game. You have to control possession. You have to protect the area of the ice in front of the net. The Wild just got into a run and gun game. It was totally out of character. I think it is in some ways when you start popping in a lot of goals, the game just kind of deteriorates into an up and down 1980s style NHL hockey. They just need to get back to their structure. And I think part of that throughout John Hines' tenure here has been being really hard in the neutral zone, not letting teams rush through, fly through that, and take on speed in the offensive zone. We just saw that way too much the other night. And that speed, frankly, I think in series like this, when you go from Dallas, who obviously is a very good team, but doesn't play with quite the speed that the Avalanche do, that speed can shock you. And then that's the adjustment I think just kind of has to happen up front right away, harder in the neutral zone, less opportunities to fly into the offensive zone. And I think from there, just transition into just being more disciplined with certain plays. They were loose with the puck the other night. A lot of just little things that they can change that I think will pay dividends. But it wasn't just a goaltender thing the other night. In fact, I think it was more his teammates in front of him than just for Wallstead. But point is, they all need to be better regardless of who's in the crease.
There he is, Dane Mizutani, St. Paul Pioneer Press. Dane, out of time for today. Twins, they suck. All right, there it is. we knocked that one out of the park, and Joe Ryan's now injured. Great. We'll talk to you again soon. Dane, appreciate your time as always.
Yeah, anytime, guys. Love doing it.
Dane Mizutani talking Minnesota sports with us here on Miller and Condon. Got Nick hanging out with us today. Coming back on the other side, we're going to learn a little bit more about it. We continue here in a moment. Miller and Condon, the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Saving money on your outdoor projects now at Menards. Create stunning patios, walkways, and retaining walls with our huge in-stock selection of durable concrete blocks ready to take home today. Plus, get free estimates with our easy-to-use design program in-store or on Menards.com. Saving money on our 12-inch smooth patio block on sale now through May 10th. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for more great deals happening now.
Now here's your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website, Rich. That's Rich. Enter it now. KXNO.com.
Meet Ronnie. He's got his eyes on the future and wants to convert his old clunker to electric. It just needs a little elbow grease and a whole lot of walk. Don't get your wires crossed. Can you feel the electricity? Ronnie doesn't always make the best life decisions, but even Ronnie knows to never dig without contacting Iowa One Call first.
The world's largest sports book in Las Vegas is available right at your fingertips in Iowa. Trent Condon here for CIrca Sports. The CIrca Sports Iowa app is sports betting the way it should be. Bet anywhere in Iowa and experience high betting limits, tight money line splits, and exceptional customer service. Download your new bookie today. Visit CIrcaSports.com and start betting like a pro from anywhere in Iowa. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
What if your next favorite hobby came with a built-in crew? That's cornhole. Whether you're brand new to the game or just looking for an excuse to get outside, there's a whole world of players out there ready to welcome you in. Local leagues, weekend tournaments, backyard throwdowns. It's all happening near you. Meet your people at your next event at iPlayCornhole.com/events. New hobby, new friends. Same you, just having a lot more fun.
Urology Center of Iowa has a dedicated men's health wellness center designed to restore your confidence and your comfort and put you back in control. Get a clear plan, a private tailored experience, and judgment-free care at iowauro.com.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have. Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
I was feeling the same way. After 40, the body has less testosterone, and men lose their edge. That's why I take Nugenix Total T2.
That's the testosterone booster, right?
Yes, but Total T2 is their brand new formula that skyrockets nitric oxide levels in as little as 3 hours. Since I started taking it, I've been lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. My energy is way up, and it even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yep, just send a text.
Text EDGE to 321321 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the next generation testosterone booster. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text EDGE to 321321. That's EDGE to 321321. Statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. 80 years. That's how long Hawkeye Truck Equipment has been keeping Iowa's trucks on the job. To celebrate 8 decades, they're giving you a gift. Right now, get $80 off a Turbo Liner Spray-On Bed Liner. Just pair it with the Truxedo Low Pro or Pro X15 tonneau cover for the ultimate bed protection. It's the perfect combo to keep your gear dry and your truck looking good. Also ask about their selection of scratch and dent toolboxes, along with other discount truck accessories. Don't wait, this anniversary sale at Hawkeye Truck Equipment won't last.
Ken Miller, Trent Condon, Miller and Condon on 106.3 KXNO and the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Is it culture?
Wrapping up hour number 1, it's Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. Nick Marovets hanging out with me here today and tomorrow as Ken is off for a couple of days. So I'm playing a little PJ. I'm coming back. Love it. You, much younger than me. Yeah. So what's your music? What do you like to listen to? Because we have a pretty big swath here between the 70s for Ken and me in the 90s. Not a whole lot of 80s stuff that we play very often. And very, very little anything basically from 1995 on. So that is kind of the end date for you. What kind of music are you, as you're pumping your iron and doing your thing, what do you listen to? Iron, it's gotta be 80s rock. I like to call that Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, AC/DC. Yep, those kind of, that's butt rock to me. And my kids, in fact, have started to get into that genre here recently. My daughter's walk-up song, An Awful Parenting by Me, Def Leppard, Pour Some Sugar on Me.
Nice.
Now,
good song.
If you know the extra connotation with that,
Yeah,
that is something that she'll probably be sitting in a psychiatrist's chair in her 20s and saying, how did my dad allow this? But she loves the song. So that's her walk-up song now for softball. So you like the 80s rock. So that's when you're pumping, when you're just hanging out, having a drink, hanging out on the deck. What's the mood that you're looking for?
See, I'm all over the place. I can go like 2000s, 2010s pop, but recently it's crazy you asked this because I just got a set of guitars. And so I've been kind of listening to like country, but I couldn't put it down to an era, just kind of all over the place. So I've been vibing with some chill country that you can like finger pick along to. Otherwise, I'm okay with just rock all the time. So it really isn't that deep for me.
All right. So that's kind of the music part. Now, remind us again about the teams. We know the Cyclones part. Obviously, that's an easy one. Professional sports, you got that weird Northeast connection. You know, we got that with Lucas and these Northeast teams. What's going on here? So who are your professional teams?
Yeah, professionally, definitely the Patriots. That's kind of like my number one bread and butter. From there, I'm a little bit more bandwagon-y, like we talked about with the NBA. Like I don't really follow an NBA team because the regular season is so hard to watch. I just love watching the postseason. When it comes to the NHL, I'm a big Kraken guy. Got on them when they joined. Like, I don't want to pick a team that already exists, so I went them. I'm kind of all over the place.
All over the place.
Yeah, it's fun though. You
know?
You never
pick and
feel
choose.
Quartered into a market.
LeBron guy?
In recent years, I've definitely I've
grown to appreciate
it.
Yes. Same with that. All right, we got an hour in the books. One more to go. We got a lot going up here, and we're going to continue the conversation, including the expansion, not just to college basketball, football around the corner. That's next.
Spring's finally here, and if you've been putting off the mower decision, we get it. There are a lot of options out there, but at Clive Power Equipment, you're not on your own. Our crew will walk you through it, match you to what actually fits your yard, and stand behind it after the sale. Try getting that at a big box store. Right now, we've got great deals on Toro zero turns, walk mowers, and battery equipment. And we just extended our hours, open till 7 weekdays and 8 to 5 Saturdays. Near University and 73rd in Clive.
In this edition of the Marketers Report, Giovanni Martinez, Senior Director of Marketing and Innovation for Avocados from Mexico, speaks on audio's reach.
We know how powerful is audio. I mean, with the frequency, the reach that you can generate with that component is something that we always have as an add-on in our campaigns.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia connects marketers to the audiences, live conversations, and trusted influencers you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartAdvertising.com.
Running a business means wearing multiple hats. So if you're like me, you probably started out using your personal phone, taking client calls and texts nonstop. As my business grew, I needed something smarter. That's when I switched to Quo, the #1 business phone system. Quo works right on your phone or computer. No carrying 2 phones, no clunky landline, just one easy app you can try for free. Your team can share one number and handle calls and texts together like a shared inbox. Any teammate can jump into the conversation, so customers get faster responses. And Quo's AI assistant summarizes your calls and responds to customers 24/7, so you never miss a lead or opportunity. All this starts at just $15 a month. That's basically 2 coffees. You can even keep your current business phone number. Find out why 90,000 businesses trust Quo. Money is on the line. Always say hello with Quo. Try Quo for free at quo.com/sports. That's quo.com/sports to try Quo free. QUO.com/SPORTS.
In Des Moines, Chase is proud to root for the home team because they're our team too. We cheer from the bleachers and on the sidelines. We cheer for gymnasts and quarterbacks. And with over 5,000 Chase branches nationwide, we're right beside you, Des Moines. Neighborhood bankers, digital tools, national strength. Chase, make more of what's yours.
JP Morgan Chase Bank, NA member FDIC.
Your one stop for advertising? Call 844-844-iHeart.
Get ready to unleash the power of a brand new Porsche. Community Choice is giving away a 2025 Porsche Macan. Go to unbankingporsche.com to enter to win by August 31st, 2026. It's sleek, it's speedy, and it could be yours. No purchase necessary. See website for official rules.
Hi, this is Sarah at the Department of Rejected Dreams. If you had a dream rejected, IKEA can make it possible.
I've been dreaming of hosting a big dinner party, but I don't have enough plates.
Oh, that's easy.
Or bowls or cups or chairs.
So you need more everything. Well, IKEA has all your dining needs from dinnerware and utensils to full dining sets.
Wow, everything but the kitchen sink.
Actually, we have those too. Get everything your dream kitchen needs at a price you didn't dream possible. In-store or online at ikea.us/dreamkitchen. Dream the possibilities.
Iowa Mobotics has your yard covered. Their expert team installs and services advanced robotic mowers designed to handle lawns of any size, giving that manicured look without the work, offering reliable technology and local service you can trust. See how easy lawn care can be at iowamobotics.com.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from IQ Bar. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at eatiqbar.com/policy/terms of service.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ Bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Now you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping when you text radio to 64,000. Text radio to 64,000 to get your 20% off. That's radio to 64,000.
The world's largest sports book in Las Vegas is available right at your fingertips in Iowa. Trent Condon here for CIrca Sports. The CIrca Sports Iowa app is sports betting the way it should be. Bet anywhere in Iowa and experience high betting limits, tight money line splits, and exceptional customer service. Download your new bookie today. Visit CIrcaSports.com and start betting like a pro from anywhere in Iowa. If you or someone you know may have a problem with with gambling, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
KXNO AM Des Moines, KXNO FM Ankeny, KKDM HD2 Des Moines. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, sports talk, and podcasts. Miller and Condon on 106.3 KXNO is sponsored by TC Sports, LLC.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama are two of the NBA's most unique problems. Dominant big men capable of taking over games in a variety of ways. But through discipline and clear defensive identity, the Timberwolves may have found as much of a workable blueprint as possible. Rather than allowing elite bigs to dictate the game in the paint, Minnesota has made it a priority to force them outside, pushing both stars onto the perimeter, daring them to win from less comfortable spots. Rudy Gobert, central to that strategy. The result has been telling. Against Denver, the Timberwolves held Joker under 20% from three, below 45% from the floor. Against San Antonio, the same formula resurfaced last night. Wembanyama still made his presence felt with 12 blocks, but he had just 11 points. You may not stop stars like Joker and Wemby. You're just trying to contain them. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. When money's tight and you're behind, it can be tough to play catch up. But Liberty Mutual can help you make a comeback, a fourth quarter go-ahead drive, if you will. Liberty Mutual is clutch by customizing your car and home insurance to save you money, especially when you bundle. It's insurance built for real people with a team that works hard to help keep more of what matters most in your pocket, money. Liberty, 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 Liberty. Get a quote at libertymutual.com or with your local independent agent, libertymutual.com. 2 words, prostate exam. Relax. Screening starts with a simple finger-free blood test. Around 1 in 8 men in the United States will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime. Prostate cancer can have over a 99% 5-year relative survival rate when caught at a localized or regional stage. If you're 40 or over and have a prostate, visit relaxitsabloodtest.com to see if a PSA blood test is right for you. Talk to your doctor about screening and the next steps. Sponsored by Novartis.
Live and local every weekday. This is where sports fans in Iowa come together on Des Moines Sports Station, 106.3 KXNO. 106.3 KXNO. Ken Miller and Trent Condon. It's Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Hour number 2, welcome back. It's Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. Trent Condon joined today by Nick Marovets from Locked On Cyclones, hanging out with me today and tomorrow as Ken is off for a couple of days. Nick, good to get an hour in the books. We still got one more to go. We talked about at the top, your full-time media gig is with Locked On Cyclones, your daily Cyclone podcast. We're talking about content, getting through things, and there are some interesting Big 12 storylines that are happening right now. Potentially your Mark's brother getting involved in college athletics. Like, that's interesting. Private equity. We're going to talk about all that, but want to start with the conversation a little bit more, I guess, wide ranging. Taking a look at the expansion of the NCAA tournament and what is the right path to going forward for the college football playoff of the way that it's set up, as we know the power of the Big Ten and the SEC for football and how that's going to dictate exactly how that looks. But let's start first. 76-team field in the NCAA tournament. I know there's a lot of frustration, some consternation, not a whole lot of people that are overly excited about it. I'm going to leave it open-ended for you because I've given my perspective, and we'll see if I got to fire back at you, Nick.
Yeah, my thing with it is, what kind of teams are we getting in, right? So if we were to expand to, say, 100 teams, and we only added teams like Drake and Loyola Chicago, and it turned into this mid-major fest, that would be so exciting. I that's one of my favorite parts of March Madness, is getting to know all of these teams that I never heard of before. Like, admittedly, I did not know who McNeese was until they had one of the coolest managers of all time. Right. All right. Yeah. I just didn't. And maybe that's on me. So is that a hot take? Maybe, but it doesn't matter, because what we're adding is a bunch of Power 4 teams that just missed out because they were below 500 in their conference. Mm-hmm. That doesn't feel like maybe the right play to me.
Yeah. I definitely understand that. And the thought process behind it, you look through the teams that would have made the field this year. Auburn, all right, they made a great run, won the NIT this year. they still had 16 losses. That would have been a tournament team with 16 losses going into the NCAA tournament. Indiana, who got absolutely boat raced by Northwestern in the Big Ten tournament with their backs against the wall. They still easily would have been a tournament team. Yeah. An Oklahoma team that lost 9 straight games during the course of the season would have been a tournament team. And those are the teams that don't exactly get you excited. But my perspective is it's basketball on a Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm going to be watching regardless. Oh, yeah. And to kind of just imagine your mind now going from the 2 games back-to-back days. The first one, that 16 seed. It's ho-hum. Maybe get to know the story. Maybe you're like me and you're a degenerate and you're going to put a bet on it. That happens every single time. But now we're going to get at least some teams some Oklahoma State very well could have been a tournament team this past season. At least you saw them a couple of times throughout the course of the year. It's more basketball. And the biggest thing, when we get to Thursday morning at 11:10 with that opening tip-off on CBS, we know there's going to be a 64-team field. Right. The field is going to be as we know it, as we've known it dating back to 1985 when the expansion happened at the time, 64 teams. We're going to have your tried and true real bracket there, and that's why I can't get all worked up about it.
No, that's a good point. As soon as the actual bracket starts, nothing actually changed. And you bring up, I was going to go a different avenue, but you brought up something that I want to hit on. How does this change filling out the brackets? Because are you going to fill out every single game, or are you going to wait even longer? I don't know. It's just an interesting wrinkle to the whole thing. The thing that I did find a little, I don't want to say concerning, but just like I don't love it, was you got your conference championships, and then 3 days later, 2 days later, you're playing in the tournament. I mean, I don't know. It is what it is, but I personally don't love it. There are pros and cons to everything. It was inevitable. Money drives everything. It is what it is,
And there isn't a ton of money there either. They're still working with the TV partners. And, this news came out before they officially got word from CBS and Turner that there was going to be bigger fees. Very well might not be even more fees. It's not, reading on the financial side of things, it's not the boondoggle that people think it's going to be, that suddenly this is going to be more and more money that is going to come in. Yeah, it might be, but we're talking nickel and dime stuff. In the big picture of what the NCAA tournament, what it's going to be, it's not this financial windfall that's going to be coming for the NCAA, adding these extra games. And you also look overall, when this thing started, and I think in the 80s, when it expanded to 64, there's 250 D1 teams. Well, now we're over 360 D1 teams. How many of those teams, that the 100 plus that have come in during that time, are actually going to be tournament teams? Not many. The reality is, this is the SEC, the Big 10, the Big 12, and the ACC looking for more bids. As their conferences have expanded and ballooned, well, they want more, and they want more opportunities for those teams. Plus, the coaches want it because it's a lot more difficult to sell. Hey, we made the tournament 4 straight years, something like that. Even if it is a double-digit seed every single year, more difficult to fire that coach in a lot of programs. Now, there's some programs like, say, in Indiana, they're not going to take that. Yeah, you make the tournament 4 straight years, but you're a double-digit seed. You're just sneaking at it every time, and you never even get to a round of 32. That's not going to be enough to save Darren DeVries' job or anything like that. However, for some programs, they'll take that. They'll sign up for that, and just that expansion is going to be there.
Well, because those wins will count as credit, right?
They will, yes.
So that's going to bring money back.
And that's a good thing also for the low major programs that play in the past, the 2 16 seed games to get into the main bracket. Now that's going to expand. That means more money coming into the coffers for those smaller conferences, and they definitely need it.
Yeah.
Feels
especially
like
with rev share. And,
yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
To make that happen. So we go from the expansion there to the inevitable. You agree? Inevitable.
It is inevitable.
Expansion from the 12. Now, I like the 12. I always wanted to see the jump from the 14 playoff to 12. I thought it made a whole lot more sense. I never liked the look of 8. Understanding, all right, you're going to have back then the power conference structure of 5 getting in. All right, then we got a couple of larges. Well, if you expand to 8, you're probably going to have to put a group of 5 program in there also. So really, it's only 2 more spots. 12 just sounded like a more realistic number, and I've liked it. Now, they've had to change some things, tweak. Now, the first year, Arizona State was, the 13th ranked team, but they were able to get up there to the seating was all messed up.
Yeah, because of a conference championship win.
We had Boise, their seating was messed up. So they changed that. They got that fixed for this past season, but we're going to move past this. 12 to 16 to 24. And I'm kind of in the realm like I was with the 4 to 12. don't do the in-between with the 8.
Mhm.
Just make the jump of where you're going to be. I thought we're going to be a 12 a lot longer than we're going to be.
Yeah.
But I'm that way too with this, where don't even mess with the 16. Yeah, it's a easy, true bracket. Everybody's got to play 4 games, win 4 games to win a national championship. That makes it easy. But I think we know the end game is going to be 24. So just go to 24. How do you see it?
Well, I don't think that's a bad idea, but if we jump the gun to 24, then are we going to be at 36 in 5 years? Right? Like,
yeah.
And I know that that's like kind of a dumb point, but it's exactly what you were like, oh, we're going to be at 12 for like what, at least 5-6 years,
Sure.
right? And we're looking at already an expansion after 2. I don't know if I love the expansion. I graduated in 2020, and so when we finished up, I think was maybe last year or one of the last years before the high school playoff expansion, and that was a bit of a change of pace for me. And wrestling did the same thing too, where it seems like almost everybody can go, and it's just I don't know. I don't know if I love it. It is more games, more meaningful games. It's the exact same argument as what you brought up for basketball, right? So if Iowa State makes the college football playoff under 24, first college football playoff appearance for Iowa State of all time is Jimmy Rogers given a lifetime contract. Well, I don't know. It's top 24, I guess. They were basically in the final poll of the season. It's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, and that from our perspective here in the state of Iowa, I think that's going to be interesting too of how this thing is framed, because Iowa and Iowa State, the conferences are much different.
Yeah.
We can be honest. The Big 12
is better. Yeah.
Basketball, we could have a conversation. We cannot have a conversation for football. That's the reality. Look, the Blue Bloods are gone from that conference, and it's great in terms of viewing, in terms of knowing and not knowing what's going to happen week in and week out, because the conference as a whole, outside of Cody Campbell's money, is so evenly matched. You don't have a blue blood. You don't have programs that historically have the same cachet that you had with Oklahoma and Texas and Nebraska going back 15 years. You don't have that component to it, but all these programs are so evenly bunched that you see the wild variance from 2 years ago. Arizona State picked last and wins the conference that year and wins it going away, and the way that they played that season. You're going to get that from that conference, but it does also mean that the likelihood, what's the best case scenario in a 24 team bracket even? 3? I mean, is that the high water mark? Because strength of schedule is going to be a component. How important that's going to be. It's interesting from the Big 12 perspective to me to see how that plays out. And what does it mean? You have a really good year. You go 9-3, solid season, but an Iowa State at 9-3, an Arizona at 9-3, a TCU at 9-3. What does that mean in this structure? Even a 24 team playoff, as opposed to an 8-4 Tennessee team, an 8-4 South Carolina. That's going to be very difficult, because in the past, your record is, and that's going to be it. I think we're going to have to dig deeper in order to find, say, those teams. Would it be 13 through 24?
Yeah, well, I mean, look at BYU last season. That's the first thing I want to look at. 12-2, not making the top 12. And I mean, it's just, the Big 12 is always going to be treated differently, kind of like the ACC. It's not the same. It's definitely an SEC and Big 10 kind of run sport, and then the ACC and the Big 12 get to tag along, is how people like to look at it. I disagree, but I do kind of need to take my fan hat off a little bit and realize that there is no Texas or Oklahoma in the conference anymore. And look what happened to Texas Tech this year. They looked like they literally could not be beat in the Big 12, and then didn't look so great in the playoffs. So, it'll be interesting. I think what we really need from the Big 12's perspective is somebody to get in and make noise and create precedent that it can happen. And then we can start to really have conversations about what that would look like. But by the time that happens, we're going to be at a 118 playoff.
We're not going to get there. We're not going to get there. I believe, at least for the foreseeable future, that 24 is going to be the end game. Now, another reason, selfishly, that I've also liked the idea when Tony Petitti, the Big Ten commissioner, first came up and this idea was floated out there, and the Ross Dellingers of the world from Yahoo and the Pete Thambles of ESPN started talking about the conversations that were happening behind closed doors, was the idea of something that I was a longtime champion of dating back to 2020. When the Big Ten came up with the idea, they called Champions Week. That final week of the year, you don't know who you're going to play until it happens, and taking that a step further and creating these play-in type of games. Because for the Iowa, in this new Big Ten, what's a realistic goal to get to a championship game? in an 18-team conference, the way it's constructed, once every 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is that even realistic?
Yeah.
Maybe it's once in 20.
Mm-hmm.
To finish in the top 2 of this league now, that's what it is. The Big Ten West was an attainable goal. Every single year, you felt like at minimum, we got a shot.
Yeah.
And they did. Almost every single year, they had a shot going into November. We do this, we're going to be in the conference title game. Well, that's off the board now.
Mm-hmm.
The Big Ten West is dead. So what is something realistic? Finishing in the top 2 or finishing in the top 8 in the top half and having an opportunity to play yourself into a college football playoff? Yeah. You might have to go on the road and beat in Indiana. You might have to go and have a return trip against Wisconsin, whatever it is. I love that idea, not just conference championship Saturday, but extending it a step further. And if you have the automatic bids that are attached that the Big Ten has long wanted, then it's something for programs like Iowa, and not just Iowa, but Minnesota and Illinois, programs of that ilk. We're not winning the Big Ten. I know Indiana has screwed up my whole argument of what they did last season and the last 2 years, really. But overall, for the middle and bottom tier of the Big Ten, an attainable, realistic goal, I think that opens up a little bit more. But it feels like that has been, I don't want to say shot down. We know the SEC is definitely pushing hard. They don't like that part of the idea.
Yeah. Well, and the Indiana thing is really interesting because I don't know how much longer that conversation can even happen with the 5 and 5 if we're getting one transfer per athlete. But back to your point, you know, with conferences being the size that they are, and they're probably only going to get larger, is my guess, you could end up literally playing only the top half of the conference by the time everything shakes out at the end of the season. So I am all for a conference championship like tournament, and I would actually rather a tournament in each conference and then a smaller national, you know, maybe not 24, maybe it's 12 and it's all the champions of the conferences and the runner-ups. And so that's 8. And then, you know, you can do the math from there. Maybe it's 16 teams or whatever, but that at least prevents us from getting to, you know, if we all the way got to 64 teams, like hypothetically speaking, that's where basketball is at. And so, of course, that's way more games than football. It's not the same as basketball, but it prevents that and it keeps it interesting, I think.
I'm looking back at last year in the Big Ten. So, of course, Indiana, Ohio State, they both finished undefeated during the regular season. Oregon, 8-1, Michigan, 7-2, USC, 7-2. And the way that this was first proposed is you'd still have your conference championship game. Indiana, Ohio State still play, got huge TV numbers. Obviously, Fox is excited about that. But then it is structured in a way where your number 3 seed would play the number 6. That's Iowa.
Yep.
You'd have a rematch, this time in Oregon, though, because they're the number 3 seed, taking on Iowa. And if Iowa gets in there, that is an automatic bid to the college football playoff. That's going to be difficult, as we know, but it's something that you can get to. And then you have Michigan, USC, neither team a playoff team, but have that automatic bid attached. The weird part is, though, we heard about Big Ten getting 4 automatic bids, and this is the way that they'd use their automatic bid structure to make that happen. Same for the SEC, but only 2 attached to the ACC and the Big 12.
Yeah.
If you're the Big 12, then if it would play out in this fashion, how do you structure that? Do you just say the 2 teams that qualify for the conference championship game, you're just automatically in? Or can you do something different from a Big 12 perspective in order for that to happen, where maybe it's just the number 1 seed against the 4, the 2 versus the 3. Those are your 2 automatic bids that come from those games. And you still have spots for at-larges. I think in this structure, there's still 6 at-larges that would be available. Say your number 1 seed gets knocked off. Your number 1 team, Texas Tech, gets beat by the 4 this past season in that championship weekend. They can still get in. They can still be an at-large team to get in there. Does that make more sense, or just your top 2, you're automatically in, but then you're saying you're devaluing your conference championship
Right.
game?
Yeah, I hesitate to go that route because then, once you're in, it's over. You've already made, and of course, it's kind of like a gentleman's game. Like, do you still value the conference championship game at that point? But you want to try to avoid that situation. So then you go into the, all right, 1, 4, 2, 3. And I don't like that because then you're gaming seeds in theory. It's possible, right? So then do you go to a 1-2 loser plays 3? Well, this isn't high school wrestling where you can wait 30 minutes and then go again, right? So
there's no wrestle back.
Yeah, it's like this is a really tough situation for the Big 12 to be in. I don't have an answer, unfortunately, for that right now. I think the best answer probably is if you make the conference championship game, you've made the tournament, right? And so you just have to go from there and say that it matters to that school. And if you get a school in there that doesn't care, I guess that's a product of the system and giving the Big 12 less automatic bids. But A wrestleback sure would be interesting.
It would, yes, yeah. Still got a shot. Got to double dip one of the top two teams in order for them to not get knocked out.
If you're the third place team,
yeah,
that'd be so fun.
Or you have to go through both of them. You got to go through the 2 seed, then the 1 seed in order to get there. All right. Now we're talking, all kinds of things. Oh, boy. Well, one final thing on the Big 12. I really want to get your perspective on, because last week we find out Redbird Capital, the private equity getting involved with the Big 12. There were a few components that had me have to dig a little bit further. This is not something that is exactly at the top of my understanding.
Yeah.
We're definitely getting into the business side of things. Just overall, your perspective, getting involved with private equity, because in many different realms, not athletics, but just business in general, you hear private equity, what are they going to do? They're going to try to make it financially viable. They're going to cut everything down. That gets scary for college athletics. But that aside, just your overall thoughts.
No, I 100% agree. And you said you've done some reading. So if I say anything that's incorrect, go ahead and step in and correct me. But from my understanding, the Big 12 brought in Redbird Capital, and then Weatherford Capital was maybe the other one. I can't remember. And they have no ownership. So that's different from what happened with Utah. They brought in Otro Capital, and they do have some sort of control. The Big 12 maintaining ownership and control, I think, was the biggest piece of this, because they can stay competitive with the SEC and the Big 10, not necessarily from a private equity standpoint. We just know that those two conferences have more money. So they can stay competitive, and they don't necessarily lose control. So they can stay true to what college athletics is. The $12.5 million is what it is. I honestly look at it more like you're pairing up with Redbird, who has ownership over Paramount, whatever. It's like the parent company that has like Paramount Plus.
Paramount,
everybody has.
Skydance, I think, is the other name of it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they could potentially in 2031, when the contract runs up with what is mostly ESPN and Fox, they could pivot towards a Paramount and like a TNT or a CBS or whatever. It gives them that option. I am honestly have been so far focused more on Iowa State and the opportunity for them to take $30 million in capital. What is your perspective on that? Because I have mine, but I'm clouded by being a fan.
So how are you recouping that money? Outside of the future finances of the TV deal, and hoping that revenues increase, because when you look at the athletic department in comparison to a lot of them out there, that becomes scary. That influx in cash is great in the here and now.
Yeah.
But when you look at a big picture, how's that money coming back? And not knowing what's going to happen with Jimmy Rogers as he takes over the program, and you're coming off these heights of what Matt Campbell is able to do. What if attendance starts to dwindle and suddenly that changes? And we know the importance of football revenue and how that goes hand in hand with everything. So that would be my biggest concern. Is just, it's great. Yeah. That influx in cash absolutely is needed. I think we all know that at Iowa State. When's that payback happen? Right. And if things do start to go a little bit south, if there is something, the basketball program even takes a small step back, what does that mean in the future? And does that mean then this venture of private equity that they get to get their hands then in the athletic department if you can't pay? That gets scary in a hurry. It
really does. And Iowa State's in such an interesting position because Jamie Pollard has been on record talking about Iowa State's financial situation. I believe it was on the Spotlight with Elijah Moore that he broke down, like, they just don't have the funds, and over the next couple of years, they could turn into UNI and this, that, and the other thing. And the one thing that I do want to throw out here, which this is a long shot, I understand that, but what if hypothetically Jamie Pollard's comments towards the Board of Regents are somewhat vindicated? There is potentially some movement for Iowa State and the Board of Regents allowing the university to pay the athletics department. If Iowa State takes the $30 million now, and they basically are able to fend off the payments until the Board of Regents allows the university to pay the athletic department, could they take it essentially as upfront money they're going to pay back and stay competitive over 2026, 27, 28, when I would argue is the most crucial time for Iowa State athletics? If they flame out in football over the next 3 years, if they fall off in basketball or whatever the case is for wrestling, where does that leave the athletics department? Because of where Jamie Pollard hints at where they're at. So I don't know if that's possible. It was just a thought that I had, as I'm taking my morning shower. It's just kind of one of those like, oh, could you potentially do that? I don't know if it's maybe the smartest play. I'm not the AD, but it was something that popped in my head. Stay competitive now and just gamble, if you will, that they can pay it off later.
We got some gambling coming up a little bit later on. My picks of the day off of 3 and 2. we'll try to build on that a little bit later on. But coming up next, we're going to be joined by Sloan Paiva. A look inside the NBA playoffs. LeBron back on the hardwood tonight. Any shot at all against the Thunder? That's next. It's Miller and Condon. Nick Marovets hanging out with me today on the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
This June, the Legends of Golf return to Des Moines. The 2026 Principal Charity Classic at Wakanda Club, June 10th through 14th, where legends of the game compete and every swing helps support Iowa youth. Bring the whole family. Tickets start at just $25 and kids 15 and under get in free. Get your tickets now at principalcharityclassic.com. The Principal Charity Classic, because out here, it's more than golf.
Are you looking to upgrade your curb appeal? TNT Landscaping and Nursery is your trusted partner of more than 35 years in Ankeny and the Metro for all your landscaping needs. Browse 5 full acres of trees, plants, and shrubs, their huge nursery selection, and all the landscaping hard goods to get the project done. Hog-Eyes Barbecue, also there, and it's a griller's paradise. Visit TNTlandscaping.com for details, or stop in at 1313 Southwest Ordnance Road in Ankeny. Tell them Heather sent you in.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
These days, it's getting harder and harder to trust what you're seeing. Who made it? Is it real? But with iHeart, everything you hear is guaranteed human. That's why 78% of listeners trust their favorite radio host's product recommendations. And if you own or manage a business here or need to drive sales, that trust goes a long way in creating your future customers. Make iHeartMedia a part of your 2026 plan today. Visit iHeartAdvertising.com. Again, that's iHeartAdvertising.com.
Sometimes the key to feeling better comes from just being seen for what you need. Urology Center of Iowa has a dedicated men's health wellness center with services from low testosterone to managing the effects of aging. But more than that, UCI is the place to go when you want to be seen like a man, not like a patient. You don't want someone else's treatment. You deserve yours. Schedule an appointment with UCI today at iowauro.com. That's iowauro.com. Urology Center of Iowa. Schedule your appointment today.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a hospitality manager at a 5-star hotel.
So I just checked into room 318, but someone was in there.
Room 318. Oh, you were supposed to be booked in 813, which is now booked.
So what do we do?
How about rock, paper, scissors for who gets the bed?
This is the time for sponsored jobs. This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
More with Miller and Condon in 60 seconds, right here on 106.3 KXNO.
Spring is in the air, and Aleve's long-lasting pain relief is here to keep you moving. The days are longer and the flowers are blooming. Whether it's gardening, yard work, or just spending more time outdoors, spring is a way of getting us moving despite any body pain. That's where Aleve can keep you going. With just one dose, Aleve gives you long-lasting body pain relief for up to 12 hours. From sunup to sundown, Aleve's got your back. Try Aleve. Use as directed for minor aches and pains.
Class of 2026, it's your year. Celebrate the music that fueled late night crams, hallway hangs, and every unforgettable moment with iHeartRadio's Ultimate Class of 2026 playlist. The soundtrack to your senior year and beyond. But we didn't stop there. Whether you graduated in 95, 05, or just last year, we've got a playlist for your class too. Search Class of and the year you graduated on the free iHeartRadio app and relive your glory days, one song at a time.
Miller and Condon on 106.3 KXNO and the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
1:30, it's Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. Trent Condon, Nick Marovets hanging out with me today. Ken is off for the next couple of days. He'll be back on Thursday. Time to turn our attention back to the NBA and the NBA playoffs. Sloan Paiva joining us, a longtime contributor over at the Sporting News, now Athlon Sports NBA Magazine, as he joins us here on a Tuesday. Sloan, good to catch up with you again. How are things?
Hey, gentlemen, things are great. Excited for basketball. It's really ramping up. We had a crazy first round, but yeah, excited to talk with you guys again.
No doubt about it. And we're going to get into the Timberwolves last night. That is our regional team that is still alive in these playoffs. No Bulls, no Bucks. The T-Wolves are the one that are holding the candle for us here in the upper Midwest. But before that, I want to start with LeBron. And now just looking back, I know the Rockets had their own set of injuries with Durant, what he was dealing with going in there. Still, LeBron with no Luka. Don't get Reeves back until late in the series. At 41 years old, it has a feeling to me that this is something that is going to be remembered in hindsight. So I don't think it's going to go very well against the Thunder. But if guy at 41 with the injuries around him, when you're adding just another point, another bullet point on that resume of greatness, that one I think is going to go, a long way. And I'm going to remember it for a while. How about you?
Absolutely extraordinary from him. Inspirational basketball, 41 years old, and just getting out there like a dog every single night. He didn't even spend that much time on his back writhing in pain. He didn't even have to put up any flopping act or anything, because he's out there just playing aggressively and taking it to the Rockets. Obviously, he had a little bit of help with the surprise KD injury. Kevin Durant is obviously a game changer, so that would have been a different series, I think, if he was healthy. But full props to LeBron. We don't love him up here in New England, but I got to give him credit because he is just absolutely a baller. And even if they get run over in this second round, nobody can ever take that first round upset from him. It's just another in the many, many lists of milestones and crazy moments that he's been able to pull off. And he's just a remarkable player.
So let's go to that series. Lakers tonight against the Thunder. I mentioned I think this is going to be an incredibly difficult path, Sloan, for them to pull this thing off. Where are you in terms of, I know you like to take a look at the gambling perspective. Do you see any value, series prices, anything like that? And the Lakers, even if Luka returns maybe even earlier than anticipated, do you give them any shot at all?
It's tough. I'm kind of with the sports books in that I don't see, the Lakers having much of a shot at pulling up the upset. Even a couple of games is going to be tough for the Lakers to pull off in this one. Whereas I had them as an easy money plus 2.5 in the last series against the Rockets. I have trouble putting any money LA's way. They just don't have enough depth. They're not athletic enough. They're not healthy enough. There's too many chips stacked against them, against the Thunder team that has the most rest in this playoff. They're the only team that was done in the first week and a half of the playoffs. So they've had plenty of time to gear up, to rest, to prepare for this matchup. And they already are a terrible matchup for the Lakers. I mean, the Lakers just cannot size up against OKC. They're consistently taken apart by OKC's defense. OKC gets to the line a lot. That's going to happen again this series. So, yeah, it's really difficult for me to see OKC even squandering, like even losing 2 games in this series would be insane to me. I think it's going to be a gentleman's sweep, but the books seem to like sweep. So it's pretty wild to see. It's obviously difficult to bet against LeBron James, getting to 6 games, but OKC's just too strong.
So assuming that the Thunder advance, they'll play the Timberwolves or the Spurs. I think if the Timberwolves play the way they did last night, they can upset the Spurs. They need a little bit of a generational run here, but we could have a 1-6 matchup in the finals. Either way, it's the Spurs or the Timberwolves, and the Thunder are going to be there by this kind of assumption. Is it just a cakewalk for them into the championship, or is there a matchup that you think they could potentially struggle with?
Oh, I think they would struggle with the Timberwolves. The way the Timberwolves are playing, and I told Trent last week, the Timberwolves I absolutely got the Timberwolves wrong, right? Like, I didn't give them much of a chance to beat Jokic and the Nuggets, and I got that series wrong completely. I mean, I just didn't expect Jaden McDaniels to emerge as this superstar trash talker and lockdown defensive star. He made Jamal Murray look absolutely terrible in that series. And it kind of reminds me of my former colleague, Steph No from the Sporting News. I worked with him for many years. Great friend, great writer. He interviewed Jaden McDaniels at one point, and he got an instant classic of a quote from McDaniels. McDaniels said when he's guarding somebody, he tries to ruin their days and ruin their nights. Well, McDaniels definitely ruined a lot of Jamal Murray's nights in that first round series, and now he seems to be ruining the nights of Stephon Castle. And if you've got Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid trying to, neutralizing Wemby offensively, holding him to 5 of 17 shooting and 11 points. I mean, that's not a Wemby-like line. Minnesota is playing with so much confidence. They've got Anthony Edwards back out there. I couldn't even believe he was out there last night.
Yeah.
It's Minnesota is the dark horse in this playoffs.
Sloan, when you look at that and what this Timberwolves team, the toughness that they play at, they've got to the Western Conference Finals the last 2 years, win a playoff round that surprised a lot of people. You're not alone on that against the Nuggets. What is the next step in the evolution of that team? Gobert commands a big salary, and kind of the way that they're constructed, they've had to move some parts around. DiVincenzo next year, I mean, March at best case scenario for him, coming back off the Achilles. If you're talking about then unlocking it and being able to unseat a team like the Thunder, taking that final step, what is the final piece that the T-Wolves need in your mind?
I think it's just a couple of other players sort of emerging, and seeing their full potential. And I think Chris Finch is getting that from a couple of these guys already. I think Terrence Shannon, quick off the dribble and blasting past defenders who maybe didn't even, hit the scouting reports that much for Terrence Shannon. I mean, he's showing up and putting his best effort out there. We've seen Ayo Dosunmu step up for them. We've seen Bones Highland step up for them. So I think it's just that next man up mentality that they have to have, and they've had it this whole playoffs. That's why when everybody's bought in and nobody's complaining about what kind of role they have, and they're stepping up for Finch and playing great defense and getting behind one another. I mean, this is an easy team to root for right now. And Rudy Gobert, don't get me wrong, that's not a great contract. That's an obstacle for a while for this team, but he's still a formidable presence in the paint, and he's still able to slow down one of the MVP candidates in this league in Wemby. So it's kind of like Draymond Green. Do we love him as a franchise player? No, we don't, but he still serves a purpose, and he's still getting things done for that team. So they've got all the pieces. They just need to keep, striking gold with these bench players and these role players that have already stepped up big time for them.
So we have the Knicks dominate. We see the other series in the East, and Pistons, Cavs. I'll be honest, I have no idea. Watch a little bit of these teams during the playoffs, but I was not exactly tuning in during the regular season to watch either of these teams. Not a big NBA guy until we get into April, May. Fill me in what you expect to see in the other semifinal. Pistons coming back from down 3-1. The Cavs felt, I guess, overly scared about them in Game 7 against the Raptors. Your thoughts on this series?
Well, I think both these teams coming off rock fights makes it an intriguing series. I think the series could go 6 or maybe even 7. The Cavaliers do not travel well, and they're the ones who had to fly into the series. And let's face it, the Cavaliers barely got past the Raptors. The Raptors were playing the Cavs very, very physically, and I was surprised to see Toronto even get that series to the finishing line. It took a third quarter collapse for the Raptors to actually lose that. It looked like they were going to win the series, which was pretty wild. And then, of course, on the other side, the Pistons played against a Magic team that kind of blew all of us away. None of us saw Orlando having the kind of feist that they showed. But I think Orlando is a much better team than Toronto, and I think Detroit was more, is more prepared for this series after that first round than I think Cleveland is. So I actually have Detroit tonight because they're getting minus 2.5 on some spreads, on some books. They're getting minus 3.5 most places. But yeah, I've got Detroit winning this first game. They're at home. They've got plenty of momentum coming off that amazing first round series that they played against the Magic. I think Asar Thompson is probably going to draw Donovan Mitchell, which is trouble for Mitchell because Asar Thompson is a great defender. I've got Asar steals plus blocks over 3.5. That's plus money. Okay. I hit that one big time. I think Tobias Harris has been phenomenal. I just love what I've seen from him. He scored 20 plus in 4 straight games. So he's just been that veteran that has just guided this team to victories when Cade Cunningham needed some help. He's over 1.5 threes plus 107. So that's another fun plus money player prop. So hopefully I'm not stealing some of your picks.
No, I need them. Yeah. I need all the help I can get.
Speaking of the, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Speaking of momentum,
I was going to say that the Cavs are 4-8 against the spread with a rest disadvantage. So I'm all over Detroit tonight. That's enough for me to go for Detroit and for the Cavs under on the team total, which is like 210 or something. I mean, 110.
Yeah, I have to take a look. Speaking of momentum, 76ers, their big win over the Celtics. I would have thought they'd come into game one with a little bit more spunk. Are the Knicks just better? Were the 76ers exactly gassed? Is this going to be a series, or are we basically looking at a Knicks moving right into the conference final situation?
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you for talking about that as one of your last talking points because that doesn't look like much of a series. You know, if Embiid isn't at 80-90%, which he probably isn't even close to after gutting out that first round series victory over the Celtics, which I don't even want to talk about up here. We're pretty forlorn up here about that one. But if Embiid's not close to 100%, I just don't give the Sixers much of a chance. The Knicks are just rolling right now. They have so much momentum, and it's hard to see the Knicks slowing down against anybody in the East right now. I actually have the Knicks and the Thunder minus 1.5 on the series spreads. I parlayed those two together to get plus money. So I think those are two series spreads that if you throw together, you got some pretty good odds there. So I don't give much hope to the Sixers at all. And I think the Knicks and the Thunder, they're going to be the two easy advances in this round.
All right. So Sloan, before we let you go, let's see anything else that you got on the wager sheet here today. A lot of this get into the prop bet, so help us out a little bit. You mentioned a few that you have. What else are you going to be fired at here this evening, or maybe the next couple of days?
Oh yeah, you know me. I'm always a sicko. I'm always going deep into these games. So I think the Thunder are going to roll the Lakers so bad that they've got some role players getting some more shots up. So I've got Casey Wallace and Isaiah Joe both for 6+ points. That's a pretty easy money parlay, and that's plus 114. So two guys that I think can get a few extra shots up and hit 6 on the score chart. We're going easy there. I also like Marcus Smart, Alex Caruso, and LeBron James all to have 1 steal. That's plus 112. So these are bets that none of your friends will ever make. But you see me make it, you're like, raise your eyebrow and take a look at it. Go for it. I also like the Lakers team total. I like the under. The Thunder is going to absolutely unload on them. The OKC is not a team that's going to squander an opportunity against the banged up and older team. So I think it's going to be a pretty easy victory for OKC.
Combination there. Sloan Paiva joining us from Athlon. Sloan, as always, good catching up, talking some NBA and talking some props. Always fun. We'll talk to you again soon. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, guys. Talk to you soon.
I've find him on Twitter as well, and he posts many of those picks all over there also. Speaking of the prop market, it's something that I've been getting involved with more and more here recently. I normally just play the game.
Yep.
Do a few things from time to time, but I just bet on games. But our friends over at unjuice.bet, a locally owned business from up in Ankeny in the gambling space, put together a great website. And a lot of that is finding the different values out there with all the different sports books and finding how different the line may be. You might be, a lot of these prop markets, you're laying minus 140. Maybe it's 120 here. Or It's a 110 here, plus 110 on the other side, the different sports back books, and finding that different value that they can have. A lot of great things happening. Unjuiced.bet is where you can go. Ain't based. How about that in the sports gambling space? I like that part of it also. Unjuiced.bet. Quick timeout. Speaking of bets, going to give you my bets coming up on the other side. It's presented by CIrca Sports. My picks of the day. Trent Condon, Nick Marovets with you today. It's Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Now here's your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Fun. That's fun. Enter it now.
KXNO.com. The world's largest sports book in Las Vegas is available right at your fingertips in Iowa. Trent Condon here for CIrca Sports. The CIrca Sports Iowa app is sports betting the way it should be. Bet anywhere in Iowa and experience high betting limits, tight money line splits, and exceptional customer service. Download your new bookie today. Visit CIrcaSports.com and start betting like a pro from anywhere in Iowa. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
At Thrasher Foundation Repair, we promise you an experience so remarkable, you'll want to leave us a 5-star review. From wet basements to bowing walls, sinking concrete to nasty crawl spaces, whatever your home's facing, you can count on Thrasher to fix it right. With over 34,000 5-star reviews and 50 years as a local family-owned company, Thrasher is a name homeowners trust. Schedule your free home inspection today at gothrasher.com.
Thrasher.
That red talkback mic on the free iHeart app, it's more powerful than it looks. One tap can get you in the conversation.
You guys, are you serious?
Enter to win something amazing. That $1,000 or just a request. Try it now. Just open the free iHeart Radio app.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season. I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
I was feeling the same way. After 40, the body has less testosterone, and men lose their edge. That's why I take Nugenix Total T2.
That's the testosterone booster, right?
Yes, but Total T2 is their brand new formula that skyrockets nitric oxide levels in as little as 3 hours. Since I started taking it, I've been lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. My energy is way up, and it even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yep, just send a text.
Text EDGE to 321-321 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the next generation testosterone booster. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text EDGE to 321-321. That's EDGE to 321-321.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Running a business means wearing multiple hats. So if you're like me, you probably started out using your personal phone, taking client calls and texts nonstop. As my business grew, I needed something smarter. That's when I switched to Quo, the #1 business phone system. Quo works right on your phone or computer. No carrying 2 phones, no clunky landline, just one easy app you can try for free. Your team can share one number and handle calls and texts together like a shared inbox. Any teammate can jump into the conversation, so customers get faster responses. And Quo's AI assistant summarizes your calls and responds to customers 24/7, so you never miss a lead or opportunity. All this starts at just $15 a month. That's basically 2 coffees. You can even keep your current business phone number. Find out why 90,000 businesses trust Quo. Money is on the line. Always say hello with Quo. Try Quo for free at quo.com/sports. That's quo.com/sports to try Quo free. QUO.com/SPORTS.
At the chicken coop, we're starting from scratch. That's right. We're dropping some new recipes along with your favorites. All made from scratch.
Boneless wings and chicken tenders made from scratch when you order.
It's a start of our new natural hot chicken split. Or our new buffalo chicken split. All made from scratch.
Don't give it away. We use a 12 different sauces that are just it, made from scratch.
The chicken coop has the best chicken, and it's made from scratch in our kitchen.
Stop in or order online today.
From day one, our mission was simple. Give Iowa sports fans a voice. 25 years later, we're still talking, debating, and celebrating everything sports. 106.3 KXNO. 25 years of Iowa sports passion. You're listening to Miller and Condon. Off the bench with Sean Roberts and Lucas Train is on deck here on 106.3 KXNO and the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Wrapping things up on a Tuesday. Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. Hello to everybody across the state. Sioux City, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, the Quad Cities, and our flagship here in Des Moines, 106.3 KXNO. Nick Marovets with me today. We get to our plays of the day back in the capital city. I feel back to be back in Des Moines. I know you spent some time here.
It does kind of feel like home a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't even spend too much time in Des Moines. It's just a totally different layout than what it is out east. So it's a good feeling.
You finished up at Iowa State a couple of years ago. I spent very little time in Ames.
Yeah.
Outside of a couple of games, a couple of weekends.
Yeah.
What was the old thing that they shut down because of too much partying? Visha.
Oh, Visha.
Yeah.
Yes.
Spent a weekend there for that one. Don't remember much. Did you guys ever come to Des Moines, like for a night out? Was that a thing either with your group or you knew people at Iowa State that would do that?
Oh, it's crazy because we would come down here for Wild games and Cubs games all the time.
Yep.
Definitely a little bit less on the night out side of things, but definitely events, you know, and Des Moines offers just a ton to do. So Ames has a lot, but every now and then we'd be like, hey, let's throw our nice jeans on, go down to Des Moines.
There you go. Moving on up in the world, go to the big city. Yeah. We, at Iowa didn't really have anything like that. I did go to a concert in Quad Cities my freshman year. Guys asked me. It was Eve 6 and Third Eyed Blind, I think.
Oh, interesting.
They said they'd give me the ticket if I drove. So I
there
drove.
You go.
Yeah.
Didn't ask twice.
No, absolutely. A couple of guys on my dorm floor. It was like second week of school, something like that. I'm like, sure. They didn't have a car. I did. So we made our way over to the Quad Cities. I think maybe it was my first time ever in the Quad Cities. Yeah. We just went to the concert, came right back. But yeah, it's not like we went to Cedar Rapids.
Right.
And you'd being an Eastern Iowa guy, you understand that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Much different than having Des Moines. And you're right. All the events here, all the different things. Well, it's good to have you back here.
Yeah.
And good to talk a lot of different things. We talked a lot of Big 12 stuff, a lot of college football things as well. How about the gambling space for you? Are you big into it with what we do over at Locked On? FanDuel is our big sponsor over there. Are you a gambler at all? When football season comes around, how do you dabble?
When I turned 21, I definitely did a lot more than I do now. And now with some more disposable income being, a college graduate, it's a little different than it was in college. So I waned off for a while. And now I'm kind of back to the point where if I don't have a team in the fight, I will throw, a unit or half a unit on it or whatever. But if I have a team, I have a hard time betting on it because am I going to bet with my heart or am I going to bet with my head? Are they the same? Are they different? There's a lot going on there. So if, early March Madness games, oh, absolutely. I'm throwing, $5 on Lindenwood or whatever. So have fun with it.
That's the way that I look at it. I call it my entertainment tax.
Yeah.
I'm not good at it. I lose money.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But look, I'm old. I got kids. I got a wife. I don't go out. I don't party like I once did, though I try every once in a while to put the fun meter in the red. This is something instead of, going to the quarter bar and having $50 on some beers and some drinks some afternoon. No, I put it in the sports account and my wife's okay with it. Yeah. We're going to mortgage our future, mortgage our actual mortgage. That's not how I bet. I just have fun and see if I can beat the book. And I can.
Yeah.
And I get my terrible picks every day, including right now.
Let's do it.
Presented by CIrca Sports. 2 games tonight and 3 props. Let's start in baseball, where I got the Blue Jays plus 111. They're in Tampa tonight. Gaussman has been a little bit up and down here recently. Got off to a really good start against Rasmussen. Like the plus money, though. I have this basically a coin flip in my system. So plus 111 will take the good value there with the Blue Jays. And I'm jumping aboard with Sloan. I love the Pistons tonight. I think they come out. That momentum that they created after the 3 straight victories, I'm going to jump in, lay the 3.5 tonight with the Pistons. 2 props in the Lakers OKC game tonight. We're going over 20.5 points for Reeves, and we're going to go under 10.5 for Ayton tonight. Both Lakers plays there. And then one more, found this one, and my friends at Unjuiced, they helped me out. There is a lot of value, apparently, on this one. Nico Horner, over a half steal. He's just got to steal a base tonight. Plus 650. We'll throw a half unit on that one as well. Nico Horner over a half stolen base. That'll do it. Nick, thanks for being with us today.
It's been a pleasure. I love it.
Talk to you again tomorrow. Nick Marovets, Locked On Cyclones. Coming back, it'll be Sean and Lucas. They will get you home off the bench from 2 until 5 o'clock. We're Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Do you remember the last walk-off homer to win the World Series? It's been a while, but the answer is 1993. Do you know when Wolf Roofing started roofing houses? That's right, 1993. Wolf Roofing has been around for a long time. For your next